Sit down. Keep quiet. There are things in these woods that don't like to be remembered.
There are truths buried deeper than your bones.
I am Bigfoot, and what you're about to hear was never meant to leave the woods. Welcome to the Bigfoot Saga.
We heard the thump on the roof just after midnight. Heavy, deliberate, like something had jumped down from a tree. Then came the sound of claws. I'm not one to believe in legends or monsters. Even when I was a kid growing up in Michigan, I thought the Dogman stories were just campfire tales. Local myths to scare tourists or kids who wander too far into the woods, but this, what happened to me and my girlfriend Haley near Grayling, it wasn't a story. It wasn't a legend. Something was out there that night, and I know we weren't supposed to see it. It was late September. We were camping out for the weekend. Nothing too extreme, just a spot by the Au Sable River near some trails we wanted to hike. It wasn't an official campground, more like a clearing we'd found through a friend. No rangers, no cell signal, and no other campers for miles. We brought a tent, but it had started raining hard not long after we arrived, so we ended up sleeping in my SUV instead. The first night was uneventful, just wind, rain, and the occasional rustling of leaves. We watched a downloaded movie on my phone and fell asleep. The second night, though, that's when it all happened. Around 11:45 p.m., I woke up to a strange tapping sound. Not on the windows, on the roof of the car. It wasn't branches. I know what branches sound like in the wind. This was rhythmic, deliberate, like footsteps. I sat up slowly, careful not to wake Haley. The rain had mostly stopped, but the windows were fogged from the cold and our breath. I used my sleeve to wipe a patch clean and looked outside. Pitch black. I clicked on the dome light. Bad idea. As soon as the light came on, Haley groaned and stirred. And that's when something scraped down the passenger side of the car. Long, slow scratches, like claws on metal. Haley jolted awake, wide-eyed.
What the hell was that?
I put a finger to my lips and turned off the dome light. Everything was quiet again, except our breathing. We just sat there, frozen, listening. Then came the sound of breathing outside. Heavy, low, right near Haley's window. She leaned away from it instinctively, clutching my arm. We didn't say a word. I reached slowly for my keys in the cup holder, but then something heavy landed on the hood. We both screamed. I turned the key and the engine started, but the headlights didn't come on. They had shorted out earlier that day from the rain. We were blind in the dark. The weight on the hood shifted. I could hear the metal creaking under it. Then very slowly it started moving, crawling toward the windshield. And that's when we saw it. Not clearly. The glass was still fogged, and there was barely any moonlight. But even through the blur, we could make out the shape. Tall, hunched, with limbs that looked too long. It had thick, matted fur and a snout pressed against the glass. Its eyes were reflective like an animal's, but they stared at us with intent. It wasn't a bear. It wasn't a wolf. It was something in between. Something wrong. It stayed there for a moment, nose twitching like it could smell our fear. Then it crawled up the windshield to the roof with a thud that rocked the whole car. I slammed the car into reverse and backed up, tires spinning in the mud. We only made it a few feet before something jerked the back end sideways like it had grabbed the bumper. The whole vehicle swerved and nearly hit a tree. Haley screamed again and clutched the dash. I floored it. There was a loud scraping sound, like something was dragging along the roof. I could see nothing through the foggy windows. The trail out of the clearing was barely wide enough for my SUV, and it twisted through the woods for nearly a quarter mile before hitting the old logging road. I hit branches, I hit rocks, I didn't care. Whatever that thing was, it was still on the roof. I could feel it moving up there, shifting its weight as the car bounced along. The worst part? It never made a sound. Not a growl, not a howl. Just the pressure of its body, the scratch of claws, and the overwhelming sense that something was waiting. Halfway down the trail, something slammed against the windshield again, this time from the front. We both screamed. It was back in front of us, but how? It stood in the beam of the fog lights, tall, hunched, impossibly fast. The headlights flickered back to life just long enough for us to see its face. It looked like a man with a snout, mouth half open, rows of jagged teeth, eyes sunk deep, almost too human, muscles like ropes under fur. And its hands, not paws, were tipped with claws the length of steak knives. I swerved and it moved faster than anything that size should be able to, disappearing into the trees. We didn't speak until we hit the gravel road and kept going. 10 miles, maybe more, until we found a gas station with lights on. We parked under the flickering fluorescent sign and jumped out of the car. That's when we saw the roof. Bloody paw prints, all over it, like someone or something had walked across the top with dripping hands. And the windows? Deep, jagged scratches down every single one, even the windshield. The attendant came out and looked at the car. He didn't say a word, just stared. Finally, he asked what happened. I told him it was a bear. I couldn't bring myself to say what we really saw. He didn't seem convinced. Then he said something I'll never forget.
Shouldn't be out in those woods this time of year.
He muttered. The what? I asked. He looked me dead in the eyes.
That's when the Grayling thing gets restless. The thing people pretend ain't real.
I never went back to that clearing. We sold the SUV a few months later. I couldn't stand driving it anymore. Every time it rained or the windows fogged up, I'd flash back to that night. Haley and I tried to move on, but we never really talked about it again. Not in detail. Some things are better left unspoken. But sometimes when I'm driving alone at night and the road gets too quiet, I find myself glancing at the rearview mirror. And once, just once, I swear I saw a shape in the fog, tall, hunched, keeping pace behind me on two legs. If you ever go camping near Grayling, keep your windows clear. And if you hear something breathing outside your car, don't move. Because if it knows you're awake, it'll make sure you never leave.